What's happening, fam? John here from AF Anime, back with another Dragon Ball movie review, and this time I'm going to be talking about the Dragon Ball movie Path to Power. And this is a standalone movie that's a bit different from everything we've seen so far in terms of the animated movies, and I will explain why. So to begin, you may know that I've been doing this as a playlist, so far I've actually already reviewed 16 animated movies, and this would obviously be number 17, but it doesn't quite fit in chronologically with the 17th position. It probably is more along the lines of 1 through 4, but it is a bit different and can't really be counted alongside those ones either. Now, what makes it different from the first 3 movies in my part 1 video is that this actually is a bit canonical, but also not really at the same time. I'll explain. It essentially does recap the beginnings of Dragon Ball and Goku's adventure, starting off with Bulma, and we do see how he meets Yamcha, Puar, and Oolong, and Master Roshi, but it is a bit different with some minor character design changes as well as a bit of a rushed storytelling aspect to make all of these things fit into an hour and 20-minute long movie. So for starters, it's already different in the sense that it's an hour and 20 minutes long. It's very uncommon for any Dragon Ball movie to have that kind of runtime. And on top of the extended runtime, we get the added benefit of seeing post-Z graphics added to a Dragon Ball movie. So in a way, you can kind of consider this to be a remaster of sorts for canon material, but there are enough differences in this story to make it non-canon. And to be quite honest with you guys, I have never seen this movie. I didn't even know it existed until I started doing research to complete this playlist. I mean, honestly, even if I had known it did exist, I probably wouldn't have invested too much time or energy into watching it, since it's a recap of things that I would already know. But ultimately, I did have a good time watching it, and even felt that it was paced out pretty well for as condensed as it was. So I'm going to get into the plot summary or the quick recap, but before I do that, I just want to say that this is something I feel that Dragon Ball could probably get into in the very near future. I mean, I know this is an old project dating all the way back to 2006, but I think that there could be some marketability into making movie versions that are condensed formats for all of the arcs within Dragon Ball. For example, the Saiyan saga, which was stretched out over a bit in terms of, the training montages and all the goofy in-betweens. If they were to condense it into a movie format, it may not translate well to being a profitable theatrical release, but if they were to say drop it on television or even in Blu-ray or digitally, I absolutely would pay to see it. Now, I know they did do Dragon Ball Z Kai a while back, and I remember watching that week to week and thinking to myself that it was going to be something special, but ultimately it was just a slightly better version than the original. I mean, there were a lot of improvements, but I remember being disappointed because the intro was done in modern animation style, but the actual episodes themselves, while not really containing any filler, they did actually have just kind of remastered artwork. It wasn't actually new animation. Now, that might just be a tangent and a little bit of wishful thinking on my part, but I can't help but think that the idea behind this movie was pretty cool and pretty smart, and I'm pretty sure it came from Toei and not Akira Toriyama himself, but ultimately I could imagine that he would have been very satisfied with how it turned out. Moving on though, I'll go ahead and talk about the movie's plot, which most of you probably already know whether or not you've even seen the movie, but it basically is a retelling of Goku's introduction to the series of Dragon Ball and all of the main characters minus Krillin and a couple others. So obviously the adventure starts off with Goku meeting Bulma in the same way they did in the manga and in the anime, and then they go off on an adventure searching for the Dragon Balls. So this movie basically is one large Dragon Ball hunt, but instead of the long stretched out format where Goku and Bulma encounter a lot of people to gather these Dragon Balls, instead we are focusing strictly on the Red Ribbon Army. Before we get to them, Goku and Bulma set off on their adventure and are immediately stopped by a bull in the middle of the road. And it turns out that this bull is Oolong. Goku engages him in a fight. He transforms a couple times, but before he can escape as a bat, his 5 minutes end, and then he just decides to join them on their journey. But before they can all set off together, they're encountered by Yamcha and Puar, who are looking to jack them for their money in capsules. Yamcha and Goku engage in a fight, and Yamcha for the most part has the upper hand until Bulma wakes up and he freaks out, goes into shock, and then takes off. Now the new trio heads north to look for the next Dragon Ball, but they come across a Muscle Tower. And it is at this point where we are introduced to the Red Ribbon Army and the idea that they are also looking for Dragon Balls. Upon entering the tower, he fights an android or a robot named Sergeant Metallic. Goku easily defeats this robot, and then General White, the big bad of the movie, at least for the most part, sends the remaining forces to go at Goku, to which he just dispatches all of them with relative ease. And upon reaching General White's room, Goku is confronted by Android 8, who gets the upper hand on Goku but refuses to kill him. And a now pissed off General White threatens to detonate a bomb that is inside of Android 8, but Goku stops him and destroys the remote. After this, we cut outside where we see all of the Red Ribbon soldiers tied up, and then Goku and Android 8 are having a snowball fight, and they befriend each other, with Goku kindly giving Android 8 the nickname Aider. Sometime after this, Goku, Bulma, and Oolong head off towards the next Dragon Ball, where they encounter the turtle, who brings Master Roshi to them. And as a reward for returning the turtle, Master Roshi gives the gift of the Flying Nimbus to Goku, who is pure of heart, so immediately he takes off on a joyride. And after Bulma coaxes Master Roshi out of his Dragon Ball with relative ease, the Red Ribbon Army shows up with a fleet of battleships. Master Roshi uses his legendary Kamehameha to destroy most of the battleships, if not all of them, and then Goku uses his first Kamehameha ever to destroy almost an entire fleet of submarines that popped up afterward. And in the celebration, Goku is actually knocked out by a missile, and the entire gang, including Yamcha and Puar, who were following them this entire time, were all captured and taken to a Red Ribbon base by General Blue. Now, even though General Blue did capture the entire gang minus Goku and retrieve their Dragon Balls, they could tell from a radar that Goku had the fourth Dragon Ball and General Blue left both of them behind. So for that mistake, the iconic General Blue from the Dragon Ball series is dragged off into a hallway and killed off screen. Goku eventually wakes up with the 4-star Dragon Ball and the Dragon Radar, and then flies off to get the remaining 6 Dragon Balls. And upon arriving to the Red Ribbon base where the 6 Dragon Balls and his friends are being held, he takes out the entirety of their soldiers, their tanks, everything, and then meets up with Bulma and the others before the final fight. Now, the 2 remaining villains of the story are going to be Commander Red and Staff Officer Black. And after watching everything on screen, the 2 correctly rationalize that they cannot take Goku, so they plan on taking off with the 6 Dragon Balls to recoup, recover, and then come back to claim the 7th. However, before they can escape with the 6 Dragon Balls, Commander Red lets loose that he intends on using the Dragon Balls to make himself taller, as he has a height complex. Now, Staff Officer Black is enraged by the idea of using the Dragon Balls for such a mundane thing, when the intent was supposed to make the Red Ribbon Army the leaders of the world. Naturally, he kills Commander Red and takes charge of the Red Ribbon Army himself, donning the Battle Jacket, which is a giant robotic suit, and then engages Goku in a fight to where he pretty much wins. Goku is unconscious, but before he can be killed, Android 8 shows up to save the day. While Goku is unconscious, Android 8 actually does manage to hold off the robot for a short period of time, but eventually is crushed and all of its parts go flying everywhere, and then he is just about to die as Goku wakes up. And upon seeing his friend's death, Goku gets enraged, snaps, and then uses a epic looking Kamehameha to destroy the battle suit and Staff Officer Black. So after the climax of that fight, Goku and company summon Shenron, and since Bulma and Yamcha no longer need their wish as they have each other, Goku uses it to revive Aider, and that is the end of the movie. Now, as I did say earlier, there are some canon aspects to the story, but also some embellishments as well. For one, this story basically takes place during the Pilaf saga, but instead of Emperor Pilaf, we are swapped out with the Red Ribbon Army. Speaking of the Red Ribbon Army, there are a lot of changes when it comes to the characters and the settings for the events of this movie. Muscle Tower, for example, is a lot more futuristic looking when it comes to how it's depicted in this movie, and rather than going from level to level and encountering different enemies on each level, this one is not as focused on the level concept. We really only have 2 enemies for Goku in this movie. And as for their character changes, the Red Ribbon Army has seen some drastic differences when it comes to this movie and how they're depicted. For example, General Blue is a lot smaller and less intimidating. Also, the character Sergeant Metallic, better known as Major Metallotron, is black in this movie as compared to his white form in the original anime. And another thing worth mentioning is Goku's outfit. It is actually not the same as his original Dragon Ball outfit. It instead is swapped out with the Dragon Ball GT outfit. Also, if you didn't notice, Goku's skin tone is a bit darker in this movie than it is in the original anime. And same thing with Yamcha. This is another GT aesthetic that bled into this movie. And you'll find another difference when it comes to Android 8 and his representation in this movie. In the movie, he starts off by beating the mess out of Goku and ultimately capturing him and throttling him by the neck. However, in the original anime, he didn't even consider trying to fight Goku. Now, to be clear, there are other differences throughout this movie in comparison to the original anime, but it just goes to show that this movie While it is flashy, it does look amazing, it still can't technically be considered canon, but it is close enough to offer some kind of refreshing spin to the Dragon Ball movies that we've seen all the way up until this one. So we are nearing the end of the video, and unlike the previous reviews that I've done where I've done multiple reviews in one video, I can't really rank this one at the moment because it would have to be compared to the entirety of the Dragon Ball movie playlist, but I would imagine that it would probably end up somewhere towards the top of the list because it is, as I said, refreshing and something a bit different. Obviously, it is rehashing old news and old material that I've already been familiar with, but it's just something about the way it's presented and, you know, with the new graphic update to the characters and their designs, it just comes across as a great idea from Toei to approach Akira Toriyama about making this movie, as GT, I believe, was currently airing at the time of this movie's release, and it would have familiarized people who didn't go back and watch the original Dragon Ball material. And another thing about this movie is that it kind of gives me the sense that if Dragon Ball Kai had taken some notes from this and not just, you know, remastered the graphics and the audio for the original videos and actually redid everything from scratch, although that would be a lot of work, I would imagine that Kai would have been much better received and much more loved if it had done something similar to this movie. But I digress. In any case, that's all I got for this video, you guys. If you made it this far into the video, thank you very much for watching. If you haven't already, go through the playlist and watch my other reviews for the Dragon Ball movies leading up to this one. Unfortunately, the next movie up for review is going to be Dragon Ball Evolution. And Lord knows I don't want to rewatch that movie, but I'm going to do it, and I'll try to do the format for that movie review a little bit different from anything that we've seen on this channel so far. So if you're down for something like that, please stay tuned. Thank you again very much for watching. If you guys enjoy this content, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. It will greatly help out the channel. Once again, my name is John from AFA, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.